Ever been the youngest? It's tough. You're basically a walking punching bag. My older siblings used to beat me up all the time. And the worst part? My parents encouraged it. Keep it in the family, they'd say. Well, I did. Right in the kidneys. That's family for you. See, family is ripe for dark humor. We love them, but they drive us nuts. It's cathartic to laugh at the darker side of those relationships. Plus, a little childhood trauma never hurt anyone. Right? Of course I'm kidding, mostly, but that's the beauty of dark humor. It lets us confront uncomfortable truths with a smile. It's a coping mechanism, a pressure valve for the absurdity of it all. Dark humor isn't for everyone. It's like Marmite or a public execution. You either love it or you hate it. But why do some of us find humor in the darkest of places? Simple relief. It's a release valve for all the awful things we're not supposed to talk about. Death, disease, violence, these are all part of life, even if we don't like to admit it. Dark humor lets us acknowledge these taboos without completely losing our minds. It's a way of saying, yeah, life's a bit rubbish, innit? And sometimes that shared acknowledgement is all it takes to make the darkness a little more bearable. What's a pirate's favorite letter? Give up? It's R. But you knew that, didn't you? It's an old joke, predictable even. So why does it still work when you tag on a dark punchline? Because familiarity breeds, well, not contempt, but certainly acceptance. We let our guard down when we hear a familiar setup. It's like being tucked into a warm bed, only to find a severed foot under the covers. Unexpected, jarring, and oddly hilarious. The classic joke structure lulls us into a sense of security, making the punchline hit even harder. It's the comedic equivalent of a sucker punch. A bit cruel? Maybe. Funny? Definitely. Now, this is where things get tricky. Domestic violence is never a laughing matter, full stop. But can you make a joke about it? That's a question that'll spark more arguments than a family Christmas dinner. Let's be clear, punching down is never okay. Making light of someone else's suffering is just cruel. But sometimes, humor can be found in the darkest of places, even if it's just a way to cope. The key is context. Who's telling the joke? Who's the target? And most importantly, is it actually funny? There's a fine line between edgy and offensive, and it's one that comedians have to tread carefully. Some might say you shouldn't even go near it, but where's the fun in that? Section 5, Visual Humor, a well of laughter. Why did the old man fall down the well? Because he couldn't see that well. Get it? See what I did there? No? Alright, moving on. Sometimes humor doesn't need words. A pratfall, a silly face, a well-timed trip and fall, these can all be funnier than any witty quip. It's the universal language of slapstick, and it's been making us laugh since the dawn of time. Visual humor taps into our primal instincts. We see someone take a tumble, and our brains release a burst of endorphins. It's like a reward for not being the one who face-planted. Schadenfreude at its finest. Section 6, Challenging authority laughter in the sacred cows of society. Why is a priest called father? Because calling him daddy would be just weird, wouldn't it? See, religion, much like a good pair of shoes, is something you just don't joke about, unless you're me. Humor has always been a tool for social commentary. It lets us poke fun at the powerful, question the status quo, and generally make life uncomfortable for those who take themselves too seriously. Religion, politics, royalty, nothing is off limits. By finding humor in these taboo subjects, we're reclaiming our power, reminding ourselves that even the most sacred of cows can be brought down with a well-placed joke. Section 7. Dark humor in the workplace, car salesmen and other professions. How do you make a car salesman nervous? Ask him how many bodies fit in the trunk. See, now that's just good, clean fun, right? Every profession has its stereotypes, and car salesmen are often the butt of the joke. They're pushy, they're sleazy, they'd sell their own grandmothers for a good commission. But hey, at least they're providing material for our dark humor, right? Dark humor thrives in the workplace. It's a way to blow off steam, bond with colleagues, and cope with the soul-crushing monotony of it all. Plus, it's always fun to make fun of the boss, behind their back, of course. Section 8. Disabilities and dark humor, navigating sensitive terrain. Right, this is another one where you've got to be careful. I once saw a kid in a wheelchair rolling down a hill, and I thought to myself, Hot Wheels. Terrible, I know. But also, a little bit funny? No, look, I'm not saying it's right to make fun of people with disabilities, but sometimes humor can be found in unexpected places. It's all about the intent. If you're genuinely trying to be mean-spirited, then yeah, you're just a jerk. But if you're approaching it from a place of empathy, of trying to find the absurdity in the everyday, then maybe, just maybe, you can get away with it. Humor is subjective after all. What one person finds offensive, another might find hilarious. It's a minefield out there, folks. Tread carefully. Section 9. Coping with tragedy. When laughter is the best medicine. Knock knock, who's there? It's the police, ma'am. There's been a bus. He's dead. You. Silence. Dark, right? But sometimes that's all you can do. Laugh in the face of tragedy. Not because it's funny, but because it's not. Life can be brutal, unfair, and downright absurd. And sometimes, the only way to cope is to find the humor in the darkness. It's a defense mechanism, a way of protecting ourselves from the harsh realities of the world. It doesn't mean we're not taking things seriously, it just means we're choosing to find a little bit of light in the darkness. Because sometimes, laughter is the only thing we have left.